And as Mario Len put it, they are like a portal, a gateway, a threshold to a new understanding. And this is the image which they use in their presentations. In terms of actual definition, they say, I've broken this down into bullet points, that this is a direct quote, can be considered as akin to a portal. It opens up a new and previously inaccessible way of thinking about something. This is quoted in practically all the papers about threshold concepts which you find linked to from the website. So it represents a transformed way of understanding or interpreting or viewing something, and key, as far as we're concerned, without which the learner cannot progress. Without it, you're in a dead end. And as a consequence of comprehending a threshold concept, there may thus be a transformed internal view of subject matter, subject landscape, or even world view. Okay, so, as I say, they're a portal to new understanding, and they're likely to be transformative. They transform the way in which you see things. That is to say, they are not, and I think there is a need for a paper on what transformative threshold concepts are not, they're not just another piece of knowledge. Sometimes they might also be just another piece of knowledge, but very often when we're teaching people things, we are incrementally putting bricks in the wall, just adding one piece of knowledge on top of another, and to occasionally test to make sure that people have got the previous bits, and then you add another one on. This is something which may not carry much more additional information, but it makes things fall into place. It orders people's understanding in a particular kind of way. And as I said, they may very well be irreversible. Short of suffering brain damage, once you've learned to read, then you cannot not read. They're likely to be integrative. And by that it means that simply that it integrates various other bits of knowledge. So part of the problem which we have with all our students, and we experience it just as you do, is students who pick up a bit of stuff there, and a bit of stuff there, and a bit of stuff there, and they've got lots and lots of isolated gobbets of knowledge, which they can regurgitate if asked specifically about those items in an assessment, but it's never come together as a whole. And the threshold concept may be what's required in order to bring it together as a whole, to make sense. Bounded. The threshold concepts may be the way in which a particular discipline is defined. So that is to say that, that physics is physics because it has these particular set of threshold concepts. And that's how we know we're talking physics rather than talking chemistry. That may not be of particular importance as far as we're concerned. But finally, the ideas may well be troublesome. And that's the area that I want to go and say a little bit about, because the two of them, these things seem to come together. Troublesome knowledge is a term from a guy called David Perkins, who's a colleague of Howard Gardner at Harvard. Let's take that troublesome one up there and link it back into threshold concepts. May be troublesome for several reasons, and I'm not going to go through them all in detail. Sometimes, of course, knowledge can be troublesome because it is conceptually difficult. Quantum physics is not easy. I gather. I don't even know enough about it to know whether it is easy or not, but as Richard Feynman said of quantum physics, if you think you understand it, then that means you don't understand it. So sometimes the material just is very hard, and there's no way around it, and we may want to simplify, and we may want to dumb down so that students can actually get through the course, but we don't do them any favours, because in the final analysis, if they're to grasp this troublesome knowledge, if they're to integrate it with threshold concepts, if they're to make sense of the subject, then they just got to do it, and there's no two ways about it. And this may be part of the conflict between the inclusivity agenda, which is a big thing with LLUK and so on at the moment about PC education, teacher education. Sometimes it just can't be inclusive. Sometimes it just is too difficult for some people. Or it may be alien knowledge. That is counterintuitive. It's like this business about price. Function of supply and demand got nothing to do with what it costs. And that people may find very difficult to engage with. Or it may be tacit knowledge. And this is one of the interesting things, and Jess was touching on that when she gave an example in tree surgery. There are some things which somebody may be able to see, which they know it when they see it, but it's very difficult to explain what it is. Somebody asks you to describe a friend of yours, and you can visualise it in every detail, and you try to describe them in words, and you're totally hopeless. But see a crowd of people go past, several hundred people in this crowd, and you recognise that face instantly in the middle of it. This is what Michael Polanyi many years ago in the 50s called tacit knowledge. We have it, but we don't know how we have it, or exactly even indeed what it is. And a lot of professional practice is, of course, about the acquisition of tacit knowledge. There's a nice example in one of the videos that we use on teaching observations for mentor training and things like that. We did in the old MA program, which is of a dance class. A creative dance class, which is being led by somebody who's got the students organised in small groups of 3 and 4 around this large hall, and they're all supposed to be developing improvisations around some themes. And there's a shot in which you see her looking around and taking in what's going on in all these groups. And you realise what she is seeing bears no relation to what you, as or me in this case, as a totally ignorant outsider who wouldn't know what good dance improvisation is, or bad, and got no basis for making a decision about it. What she is seeing is something totally different, because she's, if you like, initiated almost into this way of understanding things. And communicating tacit knowledge is extraordinarily difficult. So for all these reasons, this knowledge may be troublesome. It may even be threatening. That's one which Perkins doesn't come up with, but which in my own original research I found very significant.